So yesterday, Nick and I, completely on a whim, decided to do a game stream. We didn't know what we were going to stream, and we went through, I don't know, like 24 ideas, I think.
Yeah.
Before somehow it was.
I know what it was. I loaded up Crusader Kings because I had heard that it was good, and I saw a man named like King whatever the Bastard, and we said, "Oh, of course,
right, you're right."
Like,
as soon as we saw
there's a
that
weird naming convention thing,
well, because
this is probably going to be worth.
It had come down to Civ 5 versus Crusader Kings II.
Yeah,
and you loaded up Crusader Kings, and good thing we did.
Yeah.
So neither of us had ever played this game before, and it's a Paradox game. It's the people who make Europa Universalis and Hearts of Iron and Victoria. You know, these fairly baroque, intricate, grand strategy games. This one's a little different because it is so intensely focused on the managing of a royal lineage. It starts in 1066.
Which, by the way, I didn't know. Like, I didn't expect that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No,
I did know that.
No idea.
Are there historical events that spawn up in the game tied to actual specific dates of real events, or is it sort of
like the Crusades?
Like Civ? Yes.
Yeah, no. So Paradox games in general are much more based in a specific era in history, whereas Civ is completely arbitrary. Civ has nothing to do with anything other than just what things are named, basically. But in most Paradox games, I'm not even Nick. You're more familiar with Paradox games than I am, but they're much more historically rigorous. I mean, there's still alternate history in the sense that you can do whatever you want, but
they're situated in the context of a certain start date.
You guys started playing in like.
We started playing in a Duchy of Ireland.
What
in
made
1066.
What made you choose that?
So we loaded this up on our stream at twitch.tv/idlethumbs.
Nice.
And I just got to get the plug. And the Crusader Kings II fan base, I think, is really dedicated and extraordinarily knowledgeable because there's no way to like this game without becoming incredibly knowledgeable about it. Yeah. Because I don't think you can casually enjoy this game. You have to just dive in.
So they gave you the rec to play what you did?
Because Ireland is its own isolated island, and I think that was considered to be
start within the politics and region of Ireland without having to worry
people had
about
some reasons for why that was valuable. So we started in one of the kind of historical Irish kingdoms, and
the petty kingdom of Munster.
Yes. King Marshad.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce any of the names in this game. It's a real bummer.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty slow. If you watch this stream, it starts off pretty slowly, but it picks up as we start to kind of get into the swing of making decisions and having things happen.
Well, to be fair, we made decisions. They weren't good ones. We started quickly. We started far too quickly. In fact, the first thing everybody said was start pausing the game more, because if you just let the simulation run, things happen, and you have to set everything in motion. Before
I don't even know if we realized that.
We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
We just started imprisoning half of Ireland, and apparently,
we were imprisoning vassals.
When everybody's related to everybody else, you probably shouldn't just start arbitrarily imprisoning people.
Yeah,
I guess.
It seems like it's worked out.
We killed a lot of wives.
Well, it took a lot of hard work.
Yeah, you weren't there for that, Jake. We dug ourselves into a hatred hole that it took us years to climb out of.
Right, but a generation and a half later, everyone loves you.
The hatred hole filled with people that we threw in that
buried
hole.
In it. Yes. Yeah, mostly their wives.
Yeah.
So one of the things that was fascinating about this, the game, the actual character you play is a noble character. You can start as a king or a lord. You don't have to actually start as a king. And
you didn't start as a lord?
We started as a king.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But there are also other characters who are lowborn who are just part of the game simulation.
Yeah.
And one of them was one of our vassals at the beginning of the game. This guy Ragnar, who is just a guy.
Why did you guys follow Ragnar?
I can't remember why we started focusing on him.
It's one of those things where when did you become friends with that guy 40 years ago? And it's like, I don't remember. Maybe it was that time when we went to that bar. I don't know.
So does Ragnar.
I remember why. So, no, I do, because we were plotting. So we, as the king,
I do remember why.
Plotting to murder.
That's right.
We were plotting to murder our brother.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do.
Because that's what you do.
Remember that time?
Because he hated us, right?
Our brother hated our guts.
He didn't like us very much, so we started a plot to murder him.
Well, yeah. And we were trying to
We're looking for someone inconspicuous.
Yeah, we were trying to find someone to join this plot who we thought would do a good job at murdering our brother or fomenting this plot. And
that's when we saw this guy.
We saw this guy who's like, okay, there's this guy Ragnar who's the mayor of Nenog, and he's a gardener. Like this guy is like,
was he the mayor at the time? I don't remember if he was.
He was a mayor before the plot. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was a gardener though.
Yeah. And we're like, all right, this guy's interesting. Like,
so I think in the fiction we just walked past a garden and just saw a guy who looked like maybe
come here, and he's like, well, actually, I'm the mayor. Even better.
Yeah. And so you owe me something. Perfect.
This is you like drafting my imagined version of Dennis Kucinich into a murder plot, basically.
What? So he was drawn into that plot. He just, I guess, being sort of a guileless gardener, while the plot is kind of in the making, he gets drunk in a bar and spills the beans. Like
That's right.
Yeah.
What? He got drunk in that bar and told everybody everything. He just ruined it.
Yeah, he ratted us out.
Which is what ruined our entire, so we were in the pits
How does that
years
happen in the
because
game?
of
Is that just a sort of
it's a thing that can happen.
narrative event that can happen?
Yeah.
Like someone involved in a conspiracy can get drunk in a bar and spill it. And Ragnar... You guys still like Ragnar?
No, dude.
Well,
this shit goes deep. You haven't even heard.
Okay.
We got some history here.
So we of course immediately throw Ragnar in prison because that's what we do, and this guy fucked up big time. So
he felt bad about it though.
Well, 2 years later, and it like saying it this way. So this is the thing. Most of the time, we're dealing with all kinds of other shit. But like, if you just look at the story of Ragnar, 2 years pass. And he's just sitting in prison. But like, meanwhile, we're running a kingdom. Like, 2 years actually takes a while to pass in this game because it goes day by day. And so 2 years later, it's actually quite a while. Ragnar like petitions for clemency. We show him mercy. We turn down harsher punishment. Like we say, don't throw him in the oubliette, right?
Right.
And then shortly after that, we're like, okay, let's throw this guy a bone. We pardon him. We let him out. He takes back his mayorship.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, this is bad.
Ragnar.
Well, the thing is, when he was in prison, he still liked us.
He did.
Which showed character.
We thought that
I feel like if he had bad because he got drunk.
Exactly. He knows what he did.
He knew. Which, I mean, it's not everyone's going to do that, though. Not everybody's going to take it well.
With that character, though, where the king is super pissed at him and just says, I know.
Right. No, I know. That's a very Game of Thrones scene, I feel like.
It happens.
Yeah.
In Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it does.
So at this point...
Ragnar.
So Ragnar, at this point, shit is basically back to normal now. Ragnar is back in the mayor's mansion or whatever. Like, we're just running the kingdom for like years and years. Like, this is just totally normal state of affairs. It's time to appoint a new chancellor because the old chancellor dies, in our council. And we're looking through and we're like, you know what? It'd be a really nice thing to do. Would be to give Ragnar the chancellorship.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
What does the chancellor do?
He fabricates documents.
Oh, right, yeah.
He's your diplomatic.
He's basically just...
You know what would be really good to do? That guy who spilled the beans in my massive assassination plot, give him a job where he goes to another country and then claims that we own that country.
So, I don't know. We thought it would be a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
We realize immediately after installing him in this position, he is completely inept. He's the worst possible guy we could have in this job.
So good at the chancelling.
So we immediately...
He's just the king's buddy that's just in the position. Remember, he's like, oh, God, he's fucking it up. But you can't talk bad about him. He's the king's friend. Like, what are we going to do? Like,
so we immediately fire him and strip him of his title.
Yeah.
Like, that day.
Yeah.
He's got one day in the chancellor's robes.
Yeah.
And then genteel man who's had the worst life happen to him.
Yeah.
It was just this Rudy moment. He was just like, oh, yeah, I'm the chancellor. No, you're not.
Well, but the thing is, given what little I know of this guy's personality, I imagine he moved, brought his wife, went to this new place where his job was to forge documents, went down into the musty library, unrolled the scroll, the parchment that he was supposed to look at, and just starts he's like,
this shouldn't be so bad,
but basically he just sweats profusely, and he
oh my God,
starts forging something. His handwriting doesn't look anything like the other guy's handwriting. He's just like, the king asked me to do this. Oh my God! And then when the king sends his guy and puts his hand on Ragnar's shoulders, like, you don't have to do this. He just thank God. Okay, is there a new mayor yet? There's not.
Just go back to your garden.
Okay,
just go back.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. I love being the mayor. What do you anything you need?
Well, it turns out we did need something. So a few years later, we call up Ragnar and we're like, all right, we're invading Ossory here. By the way, the county that was, the duchy that was the new chancellor that replaced him fabricated a claim on. So we have him
in days.
Exactly.
We have him lead the. Why did we do that? I can't remember why we had Ragnar lead the army.
Because we felt like he needed a boost. We felt like he'd really just been in the dumps.
Ragnar, you couldn't forge the documents, but you can at least win the war.
Yeah, right. So he's actually completely victorious. He secures Ossory. The empire expands. We gain this duchy. His wife dies.
Yeah,
he becomes bitter after years of just crazy bullshit. He actually becomes incredibly unhappy with us. We didn't realize we went a long time without realizing this was the case. We at one point checked up on Ragnar and realized, we realized like this is bad times.
Yeah, well, it happens, Yeah, sometimes you just forget.
And the reason we noticed this is because we were trying. So this whole time, there's this entire other narrative that is not related to Ragnar at all.
Yeah,
where we had a son from a previous marriage who was our heir, but we later birthed a son, Sean Vanaman. And we thought it was quite important that Sean Vanaman take the throne upon our death. Not Brian, that son of a bitch.
Wow.
That nice guy. And
he is a nice guy.
What about his mom? Jeez.
She's dead. She died.
Oh.
We remarried.
That bitch.
We killed her.
So
what? Only responding to what you said.
She died. She didn't do anything wrong.
You called Brian son of a bitch.
Oh, that's
in
not
reference
what
to his
meant.
mother.
That's not what I meant. You know it's not what I meant.
God,
she was a
family.
Saint. Brian's mother was a saint. I won't have this.
But Brian's a son of a bitch.
So this whole time we've been like scheming like crazy to try and figure out how we can reassign, like how we can grant.
Did you get Ragnar embroiled in a second plot?
Yeah, so this is how the two storylines converge. So
we gave him a second chance.
Well, there's more than there's additional
step up, Brian.
There's additional things.
Brian.
So
or not Brian.
Ragnar. Yeah.
So
you, Brian.
Yeah.
So what we decide
we'll call on you later.
What we decide to do is actually change the rules of succession in our kingdom to elective, so that we can choose our heir rather than have it be determined by like the first.
Well, we can nominate.
Or no, actually, the way it worked originally is that it just gets split up among your heirs, and we're like, that sounds like a disaster.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
nominate.
It's It's elective. So it's but all of our vassals have to be on board for that to happen. The one remaining vassal who is not on board was Ragnar.
Yeah.
So finally, these two, like the two big storylines of our campaign, like just crash together as we're dependent on Ragnar to allow us to change the laws of the land to allow us to elect Sean Vanaman as heir. So we basically
it switched from Game of Thrones to House of Cards for a minute here. Basically.
Yeah. So. Except what's crazy that all this shit is just history. That's the actual thing.
Yeah,
like all this shit is just actually what goes on.
Yeah.
Or what went on in this era. So
that's fine.
So
I see it through things I watch on the internet.
That's fine. So we basically go on a glad hand, like just campaign with Ragnar. Like we granted him.
Yeah.
Did we make him the Lord of the Horse or whatever?
We did. Well, no, we made him the cupbearer.
We made him the cupbearer.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And people were really concerned about this because the cupbearer
can possibly poison you.
Yeah. And
he didn't like us at the time. But we had faith in him.
We did. We kept on him. We kept kind of,
we kept him close.
Greasing the palms.
You got to keep those guys close.
Yeah. We paid him. We just paid him off. We gave him a large sum of gold. Got him on our side. He agreed.
So fucked up.
Yeah. So we were able to change the succession laws. We were then able to elect Sean Vanaman as heir. The vassals, I guess, were on board.
Yeah.
It all went through.
That gold really was the Deus Ex Machina of all this.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really, the character arc of Ragnar gets a little funny around here, but yeah.
You think so?
I don't know. Like, that guy, we gave him a shot. We let him lead an army, and then he just hates us. I don't know why he ended up hating us.
It's not like necessarily an awesome thing.
Most people enjoy it.
How do you?
I mean, he won.
What you just said.
He won. The victorious.
But at what cost? All of his men?
Yeah.
His wife?
I don't know. I think people who are victorious in this game
I think that he thought the king never forgave him for that time that he spilled the plot. Yeah, where he was like, he's acting like this is a great thing, but I know he's just sending me to my death.
Yeah.
I know it because I let him down in that plot. I was a really bad fucking whatever chancellor.
Yeah.
Now here I am.
That's true. Well, we did. Oh, that's right. We pulled the chancellorship from him. That's probably
that
what
did make
actually,
him mad.
That's probably what actually set this off.
So
because when you arbitrarily just revoke.
Oh, and it was also just that we were an arbitrary king generally.
Oh, that's right.
He found us to be like a fickle leader. Yeah, and
which is true. It's
which is totally true. We put him through the ringer.
It's fair, man.
But this is where the real Godfather shit comes in, right? Like coming up. So we discover that our firstborn son Brian, who has now been stripped of his potential as heir, his wife is actually plotting against us.
Right.
Our spy master lets us know that he's uncovered this plot, and we're like, oh man, you know who we've got to head up this plot? We're bringing back Ragnar.
Yeah.
So we call on Ragnar to join in this plot. This plot, by the way,
it was a Predator moment of just like we're just searching for the guy, or I guess Commando.
No, this was the plot. This was the crazy plot.
Yeah.
This was the plot where basically every noble on the island was involved in this plot to kill this guy's wife. This became crazy. We just started like inviting every single like crazy distant family member into this plot to kill our son's wife.
Yeah.
And they were all in on it. Ragnar, we brought him in. He didn't say shit. He was happy to play along. He did not spill the beans.
Yeah.
That woman was poisoned to hell. She
there was like 130% chance that she would die.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not even like close.
There were a lot of small vials concealed in that dinner.
Every glass of wine was poisoned just in case.
Yeah. So Ragnar, at that point, basically completely redeemed. He was like 50 by then, right?
Right.
And then soon after, the king, our character, Ragnar. I think someone put it. One of the stream watchers characterized the king as Ragnar's oldest friend and oldest enemy, which is the best. King Murshad dies.
Yeah.
Ragnar still going strong. Actually,
Ragnar's still the mayor.
60.
He's still the mayor.
He's still the mayor.
He's living large.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to do.
Yeah.
We need to give him something to do now. I mean, we got to get Ragnar.
No sleep for Ragnar. Meanwhile, he's like, oh, my friend the king is dead. Meanwhile, 19-year-old Sean Vanaman starts knocking on the door. Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
Ragnar. Hey, Ragnar.
Yeah. I love the idea that when Sean was like 3, Ragnar was
just the guy that
40 and he was just hanging out with his dad.
Right. Yeah, just the trusted friend of your father.
Yeah.
But actually just the tortured friend of your father. Yeah.
Video games.
Someone in the chat did propose that Sir You're Being Hunted is actually the sequel to the Idle Thumbs Crusader Kings stream, which I thought was valid as well.
Yes, the ruined hellscape of England that was planted in our stream. England has just been a disaster.
It's true.
In our world. It is constantly...
Speaking of weird hands, the current king of England... Or no. Oh, sorry. You're talking about England now. The current king of Ireland, though, is a weirdo.
Oh my God, he's a weirdo.
He is the hand...
Let's explain how this guy...
He is the weird hand guy.
Yeah, let's explain where this guy came from.
Yeah.
So, since our last stream, crazy bonkers shit has gone down.
Yeah.
Basically, the single most poignant moment in our playthrough to date occurred, which is when we finally succeeded in uniting the full island of Ireland. The moment we achieved that, the same day, the actual same day, King Sean's and his father's longest term friend Ragnar.
Longest term frenemy. Yeah. I think those guys consider Ragnar their friend, but Ragnar probably has some
he
wavered at times.
Some frenemistic feelings about that.
Sometimes he was in the negative, sometimes in the positive.
Yeah. Ragnar. He's had a complicated life, but I think a rich one. I think no one would disagree with that.
Oh, I interrupted you saying that he died.
He died. Yes, the day.
Oh, so he died.
He died the very day that Ireland became a united kingdom, not the United Kingdom.
It became a united kingdom.
Lowercase u.
When Ireland became a kingdom united.
Yes, right. And that was amazing. That was like...
Did you guys cry? Like, was there an emotional...
We basically cried. That was like... We came pretty close to like... breaking down.
I mean, I will say that it is probably the most surprising thing that's happened in a video game for me. I've never seen anything more surprising.
Mm-hmm.
That is just the confluence of those events.
Yeah.
just extraordinary. You couldn't have. There's no way you could have scripted that.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that it happened down to that level of minute, like that, you know,
both dialogue boxes on screen at the same time.
Both dialogue boxes. This is a game that is simulated by day, so the odds of that are just astronomical.
Oh yeah. I mean, just like thousands of days have passed since we started this game.
Right.
You know, thousands of in-world days. Like it's crazy. And also, it was only relatively previous. It was not very long before that we actually designated Ragnar as an important person. Right. Without that, the game would have still died on that day, but the game wouldn't even have notified us. Yeah. It was really lucky that we had that enabled so that we actually got his death notification. Yeah. It was really the whole thing was like astonishing. It was totally bonkers. And
that happened in part. I want to say. I think 6.
I believe.
6 is the death of Ragnar.
I think that's the case.
Part 6 of the YouTube stream.
Part 6 of the YouTube stream.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they're essentially the same thing.
Yeah. We've named them correctly on the Twitch page as well.
Yeah. The end of part 6.
Yeah.
And then parts 7 through 9.
So what's this creepy hand?
Parts 7 through 9 we're getting there.
Part 7 through 9. We should talk about the Queen of France, who we killed.
Yeah.
But it was we don't want. It was a strange web that we wove. But essentially, we had a guy who could have been the King of France. We were banking on him.
Yeah. We went to the Crusades with I think with Brian again. I can't even remember, honestly.
Yeah.
But it was the second Crusade.
Probably with Brian.
Yeah. It was the second Crusade, which resulted in a Christian victory.
Yeah.
And with like the weird overlapping French, Danish, weird intertwined dynasties. I forget which one it was at the time, but one of those two took control of Jerusalem as a result of that after winning this crusade. And because we had someone somewhere in our extended family who was heir to
he was heir to the throne of Denmark,
and
which in turn was heir to the throne of France.
Yeah,
so
we're like,
all right. It's a strange chain.
It seemed like,
but essentially,
so if we kill the queen of France, like the French inheritance will like cascade down into our.
I think
reach,
what it was
hopefully.
is just briefly, like we needed to get that guy on the throne of Denmark before that. The king of Denmark had a kid.
Yeah,
we were worried about Denmark first because we knew that we had to be on the throne of Denmark. We didn't care about France at the time, but in order to do that, we had to kill the Queen of France.
Yeah. So Nick, you came. So
I went a little wild
before this happened. Nick also, when I left the room, Nick sort of unilaterally decided to marry King Sean to a Nubian queen
named Xena,
who was actually a total
lovely
badass. Like, she has good stats, and I think we made her our spy master for a while.
Yeah, she's still around too.
Yeah, no, she's still there. She's still hanging out.
She's cool.
So anyway, after that, Nick became Ahab, and the Queen of France was your white whale. Like that was like intense shit. You were like were really into that. So he launched an assassin. We first started plotting against the Queen of France. We took our son, who we intended to be the future Sean II, instilled him as our spy master, sent him to France.
That's your best man.
Yeah, well, no one will do. No, you can't trust anyone except your own family when it comes to killing queens of France.
Yeah.
So we sent him to France, to Paris, to plot, to scheme to up our assassination chances.
Yeah.
I think we had a 20% chance of successfully assassinating the Queen of France.
That's not bad.
Yeah, we launched a plot which didn't really go anywhere. So we're like, all right, we're just going to go for like the full-on assassination, which is the all or nothing. That's the you succeed or you don't, and then you have a chance of being found out.
Right.
And so
well, in the course of the plot, the Queen actually assassinated the heir that we had in our family. She actually, but this is before the thing you're thinking of.
Yeah.
She did, while we were plotting, she had a preemptive strike and took out Eric, the guy who was going to ascend to the throne of Denmark.
Right.
So she cut our legs out from underneath us.
Right.
And then it was on. Then it was just that's why I had the blood feud.
Yeah, that's why you had that look in your eye.
Oh, yeah.
So Nick launched an assassination attempt. It was a 20% chance of success. Failed. However, she did not know who it was.
But she knew.
Well, she was already suspicious, but in this particular case, the assassin wasn't caught, let's say. She had her suspicions clearly, but the assassin was not actually caught.
No proof.
So Nick was like, all right, let's try again. It costs 350 gold each time you try this.
It is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So he's like, let's try again. Tried again. Failed attempt.
Yeah.
Assassin apprehended. Oh, shit.
Right.
Let's try it again.
Yeah.
Try it again. failed.
Yeah.
Assassin apprehended.
You were stunned at this
I
moment.
was like, basically...
You were in shock.
I was completely in shock. I thought you were going to try it once and then say, oh, okay, whatever.
Right. Yeah, after the first one, you were just speechless.
The fact that you kept pushing the button, it seriously felt like you were actually going insane. Like the actual human being, Nick Brecken.
I was.
It felt like you were actually losing capacity for like rational thought. It was really terrifying to watch.
It happened.
I thought you...
We'd had a lot of whiskey by that point,
That's
Chris.
true. We'd been drinking a lot. And fourth attempt.
Yeah.
We have, this is our last chance before we run out of gold entirely.
Yeah.
Failed. Does not succeed.
That's right.
Do not kill the queen.
Right.
This was like a disaster. This was the...
Yeah, we were out of money.
We were out of money. Our reputation was just
toilet.
shot. Completely destroyed.
Right.
We couldn't try again.
Well, yeah, because around the kingdom, they'd just be like, did you hear about the King of Ireland?
Yeah.
He sent 4 assassins to kill the queen on the same day.
On the same day.
One after another, though. Not like 4 guys.
Right.
Like... It was like 8 o'clock in the morning, breakfast, assassin failed. Noon, every meal she had an assassin.
She then imprisoned Sean, our son, the prince, our spy master hanging out in Paris.
Yeah.
She put him in jail.
Because
then Sean Vanaman, King Sean the First. Sean the Great, that's true. He was Sean the Great. Wakes up dead.
He wakes up dead.
He's suspicious accident. He's been poisoned.
He opens his eyes.
This was like unbelievable. I couldn't. When this was happening. I was.
So that was you, right?
That was our character. Yeah. That was us, the King of Ireland, the man who had, years prior,
so you made
unified.
You tried to kill the King of France
4 times,
and then something happened that made Sean the first Vanaman dead.
Yeah, Sean became dead.
Right, and but also his son is in jail in Paris.
Right,
the whole line is destroyed basically, because those were our 2 lords. Like the other people were just still learning. They still
Yeah,
they're like Prince Sean's kids were I don't know.
So then, a new king, our new character, ascends to the throne.
Some 11-year-old kid.
Yeah, don't
even know who he is.
Yeah, he was not Sean, our intended groom, because we switched our succession laws.
Right.
Was that before or after this?
It was before.
It was before, yeah. So, so we it doesn't even really matter because the point was the vassals had chosen a new heir, regardless of which type of succession it was. So we realize after
the kid gets installed,
this kid's installed, that we have a new cabinet that this kid has brought with him, who's a bunch of idiots, actually.
Yeah, they're a bunch of tools, just useless.
But crucially,
are they all 9, 10, 11-year-olds?
No, they're all adults, but they were just
fools,
dumb. We realize he has brought with him. We've inherited from him just enough gold
for one more roll to die.
Final assassination attempt. So we at this point, it's like, oh fuck! If we're going to do this, we're going all out. We hire a new spy master.
That's right. We installed the guy. We got it up to 26%.
We sent the spy master back to Paris.
Yeah.
We got our chance of assassination up to 26%. At this point, it was just like, well, what do we even have to lose?
Exactly.
Our reputation's in the toilet. This is just a disaster. Our vassals probably all hate us. This is just a clusterfuck. We have a 11-year-old weirdo king. Well, we didn't know he was a weirdo at the time.
Yeah. Are we working our way to the hand?
Yeah. But
okay.
Click the button.
Yeah.
Queen of France is dead.
Yeah.
Good work. It happens.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was pretty good.
We ended that night's stream at that point because that was just the most roller coaster.
Out of control.
Yeah.
We thought at the time actually that we had, because the guy who we were going to install as the King of Denmark, he had a kid or something, and we thought at the time that we maybe had Jerusalem, but it wasn't to be.
No. But
we're not doing too badly now.
I think that's in the long term. I think in the mid to long term, we can still get Denmark.
Yeah.
And possibly France.
Right. Yeah, no,
you can do this, you guys.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah. No, we're in good shape now. Yeah. But we have this weirdo king.
Now we have a weird fucking king now. He's 11, but he's always talking about how everything reminds him of death.
Yeah.
And he really enjoys torturing people.
He loves torturing people.
He just kind of muses on the cracking
Isn't
of
it funny how we'll all die someday? That's just a window that pops up.
Yeah,
just an event.
Of nothing.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange?
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
He's a strange man. He's killed. Also, this kid, within his first, couple months of office.
Oh, yeah.
He killed 2 wives. Right. 2 queens.
We killed the Queen of France twice. Again.
We killed the next
two queens of France.
This 11-year-old kid. After King Sean the Great failed to pull this off.
Yeah. That kid killed 2 queens of France. And then France dissolved. Yeah. France is just exploded. Yeah. This kid just...
I like it like
nuclear bombed France. Basically,
I did what Sean could not, and then I did it again, and I did it again.
Right.
I'm just imagining this kid
cracking
as
his knuckles, licking his palms.
Is his death interesting?
Yeah, I just imagine him as the total sociopath who he's too young to have any real conception of mortality or empathy or anything, but he's been granted an enormous amount of power, so he has to vent some he has.
You know what, Chris? There's a character just like this in Game of Thrones.
All right.
I imagine you guys are going to keep playing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have to.
We're gonna play this out until Ireland is no more, or Ireland triumphs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we're at war with Scotland now.
Yeah, Scotland declared war at the end of the last.
The last cliffhanger is that Scotland has started to invade. So we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're still allies with Denmark, so we're going to try and call in the cavalry.
Right.
Video games.
So this is what you're trying to talk about Crusader Kings II right now.
Yes.
Segue.
I suppose I'll do a quick Crusader Kings update. So,
how many hours of total stream are you at? So,
gross.
Have you? I've not been following this, probably. Chris,
I've been following sort of tangentially.
You know that it's been happening. That Chris and Nick can't stop playing Crusader Kings while connected to Twitch.
Yes, I've seen your Twitch account recently. It's impressive.
Yeah, that's a way of
impressive is a word that one could select.
Yeah, I don't know how many hours it's been, but God, there's something like 13 or something parts on YouTube, and those
are each about 2 hours long?
Most of them are 2 hours long, and then the last one of a given broadcast is usually about an hour. So, I mean, it's pretty...
So you're probably over 20 hours of Crusader Kings at this point. Or you're at least
I'm sure.
skirting up on
we almost certainly are, yeah.
1 human day, 2 man days have been expended.
It actually makes it seem like less than it did to me before. If I imagine just a crazy bender where we just load up Crusader Kings at midnight one day and then just stream it.
And that's how you're closing out the Crusader Kings stream, by the way.
Right. Once we're within 50 years of the conclusion of the campaign.
That's when it's midnight to midnight, nonstop Crusader Kings.
Oh man, that should probably happen. Everyone's calling in sick.
Streaming. Yeah.
Everyone's calling in sick and then broadcasting their activities on
I'm not feeling well.
Internet.
Anyway, don't look on the internet where it's a video of me in my other office playing a video game. That's how that goes over really well.
Yeah.
They call that taking a vacation day and not calling in sick.
Yeah.
And that's the saddest vacation.
So anyway, we've only had one session since last week's episode, I think, which consisted. So we started off last time with Scotland declaring war on Ireland. So we actually it ended up being
Scotland declared war on you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it ended up being actually not a huge undertaking to deflect that declaration of war. Scotland specifically declared war to try and press a claim on the county of Ulster in Northern Ireland.
So you didn't take them up on a war, then? You actually...
Well, I mean, there was a war, but...
Did you win?
Yeah, we did. We protected our holdings. But what ended up happening, there was the, Earl of that province, actually, of Ulster specifically. I don't know if this was related in any way to this, but the Earl of that province, county, was just kept giving us shit about things. He founded a faction to, he basically founded a political action committee to put another guy on the throne. It was Earl me for Ireland, and that was a thing that he kept getting more and more and more supporters for, and he was just consistently being a huge butt. And eventually, so we started just goading him at chat's suggestion, and eventually that resulted in him rebelling against us and taking half of the goddamn vassals of Ireland with him. So suddenly just half of the map, half of the the island of Ireland
just tore
changed color. Yeah. And not even just a contiguous area, like a bunch of counties all over the island, like suddenly, like all were not ours anymore.
Were they all unified, or were they just a bunch of little separate spaces?
They were all fighting together, but they weren't all contiguous. You know, they weren't all contiguous land areas, but they were all on the same side against us. So that was crazy. That ended up actually being the much bigger pain in the ass of that stream. So the horrible punchline to this is we eventually, you know, after a huge amount of effort and a lot of war, managed to again reunify Ireland. And so we're finally in like in a position where like this guy who actually rebelled against us, like legally speaking, like we could have revoked his title and like, you know, subjected him to appropriate punishment and like gotten our, you know, the bulk of the vassals back on our side. And then Nick just went fucking crazy and started executing people left and right.
Like anyone who betrayed him?
Yes. And so now we have the indelible trait kinslayer, like which you get when you've killed someone in your own like extended family, which has like huge stat reductions and like just massive diplomatic, you know.
That's a no-no.
So Crusader Kings might just be a Nick Brecken simulator, it turns out. Like,
yes. It was, I couldn't even believe it. It's actually shocking to me how often when we're playing this game, I will like look away from the screen for what seems like just 3 seconds. And then I'll look back to see Nick just doing like the most outrageous, like horrible thing. I'm so frequently flabbergasted when we play this game. It's actually shocking. That happened a few times ago when he launched just like 4 successive assassination attempts against the King of France. The worst part is how often it ends up kind of working out in the long run, which is just horrible. This time I don't think there's a good version of how this works.
Savant version.
You think you would have finally hit bottom?
Well, it's like, I don't know how this is better than like just putting the guy in prison and having everyone like that. But we'll see. I don't know. Always bet on Brecken, I suppose. So that was what happened.
That's just a hilarious personality trait, like sort of holding a virtual grudge against virtual characters in a little machine. Yes. Yeah, I find that kind of awesome.
Nick makes fun of Vanaman getting completely enraged at Dota 2 bots, which is a little bit more abstract and insane. But Nick still just decapitating everyone because he's actually mad at them for screwing up his Ireland is a little...
Well, that's one of the things I was thinking about, actually. Like, just when I was brushing my teeth the other night, I think it might have been after that thing, I was just kind of like just thinking about this game in my head. And one of the things I think games often struggle with when it comes to depicting characters' motivations and kind of balance of like moral choices, I think this is an ongoing problem, is how do you reflect bad choices? You know, like games usually when they ask you to choose between things, they're like balanced in their gameplay implications, or like one of them is just obviously a better thing to do. And it's like you're not actually that person in reality. As the player, it's a lot easier to be logical and kind of objective than an actual human being. Like people make actually bad decisions in reality all the time that like anybody looking at it from an actual pulled out perspective would be like, well, that's obviously not what that person should do. But like, that's never how we make decisions. We make decisions like clouded by all the shit in our own brain and all these weird, like, you know, biological and psychological factors that don't necessarily correspond to like the strictly best solution. But when you're playing a game, you're not that person. So it's really easy to just do the thing that is rationally, from a gameplay perspective, best for you at any time. But in Crusader Kings, you frequently have, like just at any given moment, you can do all kinds of things that are just really terrible decisions that there isn't, like, you don't get anything for. It's like, you can just kill this guy, and it's like, it's all negatives. Like, the game will just tell you. It's like, you will get minus diplomacy. Like, your people will like you less. Like, this will be, like, the game doesn't try to be like, but you get all their
Renegade
gold
points.
or something like that.
It means that the game is simulating you being a real person, though. I mean, Crusader
That's what
Kings,
I mean. That's what I'm getting at.
You being someone who's born into royalty, who has no actual sense of the real on-the-ground ramifications of your actions, where you can just wave your finger and a man is executed.
Yeah.
And that makes me terrified of Nick Brecken ever ascending to royalty. Like, if there is a King Ralph scenario where it's revealed that Nick is like 476th in line for the throne.
Nick will actually just assassinate the royal baby. Like, Nick will actually just do the thing he's been doing in this
except
game.
for that baby. And then Nick is like, that carves out that like 375 person line.
Yeah.
Straight
I was
to Nick.
looking up Nick's name, actually, Brecken, on the internet, and that derives from, like, Brecken, presumably spelled like Brychon or something.
Bredon?
It's a Welsh name from like the 5th. That name derives from a Welshman named that in like the 5th century or something.
Okay.
So Nick has, ancestry that goes back to the British Isles. I mean, that was way
Probably
before the current, royal family's dynasty. But like, you never know.
He'll marry in.
He could
that's true.
take over the world. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
Give him some credit.
Yeah.
Nick's going to marry that royal baby.
Gross. He's going to have one of those gross betrothals where yeah. God, that's just the shit you do in this game constantly, though. It's like betroth your lords to 0-year-old wives.
I don't know.
Shit.
I don't know if gay marriage is legal in the UK, but
it is.
Okay, then there could be a royal arranged gay marriage, the same as there could be any other goddamn arranged marriage. So that's my hope.
It's entirely possible. He could have a May-December relationship that blossoms into a marriage with the royal baby.
That's true, but it still wouldn't be...
In 18 years.
No, Nick Brecken
he still wouldn't be the actual ruler, though.
UK.
The baby would be the actual king.
Nick would have to then orchestrate a change in the rules of succession and kill that fucking baby.
Or if the baby
He has experience doing this. He knows what he needs to do. He needs to find a way to imprison that baby.
That's true. He has a very dim understanding of these things. That's the reality about our Crusader Kings II thing, is that Nick has these like super vague concepts of how like these succession and dynastic rules work, and then based on this like tiny glimmer of understanding, he'll launch the most decisive, insane
he's in the
action.
You can't try a husband and wife for the same crime area of understanding
exactly
of how like medieval European politics work.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It's pretty good.
Video games.
As just like an example of what is good about Crusader Kings 2, this is a tweet from, I think, last year that sort of made the rounds again recently. The tweet says, the Crusader Kings 2 Steam forums are amazing out of context. And then the image is just a straight screenshot of the Steam forums for Crusader Kings 2 with just thread headlines, just line after line. And here are some of the thread headlines. My elderly male king was impregnated by his gay lover. Sexual intercourse at an older age is dangerous. So I executed the Pope and nothing much happened. How do you kidnap someone? How to assassinate a person if no one joins you? Destroying Catholic Church. My family is dying. Crusading for Jerusalem against the Jews? Question mark. I hate the Pope! Exclamation point. The one true faith is now unstoppable. Need help with dumb son-in-law. A child with unknown father, parentheses, my bastards? Question mark. So that's why this game is good.
Yeah.
So what was your recent experience, Nick?
So when we played, I believe we downloaded the just vanilla Crusader Kings 2. I don't think we had added any of the add-ons. So I got the Crusader Kings 2 Complete Edition, which I had no idea how much DLC is available for this game.
Oh yeah,
it is a list
Those
as long as your arm.
Always have stuff like that.
So without really having the time to even vet like which like pack is good or anything, I just turned them all on. And so that's the setup for the story. So I'm playing the game, and I decide that I'm going to just choose something that is this, like a sort of starting scenario that feels fairly safe. And so I picked William the Conqueror in 1066 or thereabouts. And William the Conqueror was the Norman king, the first king of England, basically. And he was the Duke of Normandy and came and invaded England and took it over. And so that's the sort of the starting point. You are the King of England, and everything is fine, and it's like the easiest possible, one of the easiest possible scenarios. Mm-hmm. So I started out playing, and I kind of like felt, even though it's been a while.
My think piece, why being born as William I is easy mode.
So, we'd played enough that I kind of felt like this is going to be like riding a bike. I'll just kind of go for it. I'll pick an easy scenario and maybe just see how far, because we played as like Ireland.
Yeah, we played,
which was hard.
No, but
this is a hard Scrabble.
No. I mean, it was introduced to us. The reason we played that is because people recommended it as like, good and like not too intense.
Well, because nobody's really picking a fight with you.
Yeah.
But it was hard in the sense that if you actually want to do anything, you're not going to do anything. You're Irish.
You're just Ireland.
You're just So I was like, well, I guess I'll just, pick England, and I'll just take it easy for the first few years and just see how it goes. And then maybe, sort of pick some minor aspirations. Maybe I'll go after Scotland, whatever. So I'm playing, and the first thing that happens to me, maybe 2 years in, is that I get a message saying that I guess my daughter had married into the French line of succession or something, and then suddenly I was just also the King of France.
Yes.
Just happened out of nowhere, which I don't think actually, it didn't happen in history. So this wasn't just something like, it just happened. Like, it was just some
things
kind of
tumbled down.
Things just sort of tumbled down to the point, and suddenly I've just got like this huge, like the, the way the map adjusts, like it just dynamically like creates a real looking, like a realistically labeled world map. And so now the word England is just stretching across like the Roman Empire, just this huge landmass. And I it's not like riding a bike. I had no idea what I was doing. And so I'm just like,
man, so you had the Crusader Kings II version of like King Ralph happen to you.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So rather than try and take it easy, I kind of felt like, well, I guess I'll just sort of Donald Trump my way into this and just start throwing elbows around and just like, well, I'm the King of France now. I'll just like find out who's next in the line and so.
And murder them.
Yeah. So the Duke of Anjou was... So you can actually look under one of the tabs and see... because, the way these things work in history is that even though you are currently the King of France, unless you have somebody lined up in succession, there are other claimants to that position. And so my son was not actually lined up to be the King of France. It was this Duke of Anjou guy. And so I just started buying...
He's got to go.
Yeah, well, I just started paying off everybody else in France other than that guy. Just started handing out like all the French money that I just received to basically every lord in France. And then...
So that they would support you or your son.
If there was anything to happen. And then I looked at that guy, and he had a son. And so I immediately plotted to assassinate his son. I don't really know why I plotted to assassinate his son and not him. Like, his son was 6 years old.
It's more vindictive. Easier. You're gonna. Yeah, it's a baby.
Yeah,
he's basically a baby, even though he's a human who can walk and talk and stuff.
So during the plotting of that the Duke of Anjou somehow, I guess, probably just realized that I was, plotting to kill his son. I think he may have just noticed, and then just dynamically decided to revolt and split off and go independent and try and claim the throne. And so the way this all like trickled down is that now I have this enormous French army that is basically occupying Anjou while there's a plot to assassinate the Duke of Anjou's son going on. And so there was this weird moment where all of this like coalesced. I was sieging the Duke's castle while an assassin snuck in and killed his 6-year-old son. And then like the next day, I like destroyed his castle and took everything over and like crushed the rebellion and everything was fine. And I was like, well, that was amazing. Like I wiped out that whole line. I installed my son Robert to be the successor of the French throne. I was like, well, this is actually easy. I'm William the Conqueror, whatever. 2 days later, everything like just took a turn. The Holy Roman Emperor was like, you can't kill 6-year-olds, declared war. The Holy Roman Empire is just basically in every phase of the game is just this massive just force. They're like the most powerful faction. And then while like the day after that happened, the guy that I had actually been trying to install to line up the succession with, my son, he had a brother, and that brother was, I guess, getting just angry that I had spent all this time, just basically like lining up his older brother just for all this power. Some faction supporting him for the line of succession.
I like that it's like he has a brother instead of I have another son.
No, because
that I think really explains the dynamic.
All of these people are
he might be less than happy about. My son has some weird guy. I guess it's his brother.
I don't know who he is. I'm too busy. I'm the king of England and France, Chris. I don't have time for this. So this faction supporting him splits off and starts a civil war, and within England to basically remove me from the throne. So he's trying to depose his father now, and maybe a day after that happens, this weird Christmas music starts playing, which it's like Joy to the World, but they've redone it with like Crusader Kings lyrics. It's bizarre. So suddenly I'm like,
should have vetted that DLC more carefully.
This is like, this is an interesting Joy to the World. Okay, wait, what? Burn England to the ground. Joy to the World. What is that? What? Like, just there are all these like bizarre like, conquering lyrics that they've thrown in. And then amidst this just insane civil war, Holy Roman, invasion, 60,000 Aztecs just land on the shores of England and just start, just burning everything. Like
Aztecs?
It's like literally 60,000 Aztec like the horde, like just Aztec hordes have come from South America and land. Just everything just crumbled. Like I was removed from power in like a day, and I looked, and there's this weird Aztec DLC that just, I guess, is not very popular with the community, and they basically outsourced one of their DLCs to some other studio.
Weird.
And it's completely historically inaccurate, and they did it, I guess, specifically to balance the fact that the Mongolian DLC creates a weird thing where if you're on the west side of the map, because the Mongols are coming from the east, then you're just sort of, at an advantage. And so they balanced that by then just saying, what if the Aztecs made 1 billion ships and just sailed across the ocean and burned England to the ground? And so, like, there's just this weird, like,
This is like Australia, where they kept they introduced an invasive species to kill a native species, and then they just spent a century introducing additional invasive species to kill all the other ones that they killed.
So the end game of this is that Crusader Kings has an alien invasion mod that comes in.
Basically, yeah.
That's an amazing analogy, Chris.
Thanks.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, that was kind of the end of that.
I'm just
gonna have to like remove all the DLC because I don't know what any of it does, but it just seems to destroy you.
What was the Christmas music? Where did that?
I don't know. It was really weird. Like a lot of stuff's been added to this game.
It's the Aztec war chant.
Yeah.
Classic. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Parentheses Aztec traditional.
All right. Well, you want to take a break?
Yeah.